Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about spiritual devotion, victory and or defeat. This is something that is very important for every practitioner because of what you're going to be going through. What will derive from your practices, especially if you choose to do what I do, okay? Which is do these live videos. And get a little bit of cat hair on me. Uh, so my face is a little itchy at the moment. But a lot of people, when you hear the term victory or defeat, success or failure, they think of it from a physical prosperity. Okay, they won't come out and say that this path is one of hardships. It is one of trials and tribulations because it is. This is one that will either create you or break you. And not everyone is meant to be on this path. So when we talk about this, let me give you a couple of examples. And I think these are some of the prime ones that you see on social media today. Sacrifice. Everybody has their opinion on what sacrifice is, but nobody is willing to follow through on them. Okay? Be it sacrificing finances, like let's say for an example, you taking $20 out of a paycheck and giving it freely and earnestly to the spirits that you work with. Okay, be it libations. Okay, placing it in a chalice and giving it to the spirits. Even hemomancy, blood sorcery. Okay, a lot of people know that blood magic is something that is associated with vampiric practices, demonolatry, and necromancy. But they don't realize that it is also something that is used to give back to the spirits that we work with. 3 drops of your own blood, for an example, rejuvenates that spirit and kind of says, hey, I'm giving back to you for all the things that you've done for us, from me and for my family. Okay. Now, this is sacrifice. Okay. It is something that you sacrifice that you use on a daily basis. Okay. But a lot of people don't realize that it also deals with time and energy. Think of it as being committed. Okay. Being completely committed to the path workings, to your studies, to your very practices that you do. Okay. If you're into religious worship and you're working with demons, the Orisha, the Loa, anyone who's ever been to a voodoo ceremony will tell you that the amount of energy from the prep time to the opening rites to the dances and the ceremony itself is something that takes hours. It can take hours. And it's something that is spectacular once it's underway. But it is that commitment to those spirits. Your word is your bond. So when you make a pact with a spirit, it does not matter if it is Baron Samedi. It does not matter if it is Oya. It does not matter if it's Azriel. It does not matter if it is Supe, Hell, Hades, Set. It does not matter. Your pact is your word. It is you who is committing yourself to learning from those spirits. Even if you are joining a coven, your commitment to that coven and to the spirits, not just the creeds of that coven or that organization, it is the path working that you are committing to. You're aligning yourself with the forces of that path. Does not matter if you are a Luciferian, a demonolator, a Satanist, or a necromancer, or if you're just simply into witchcraft, sorcery, being a black magician, a sorcerer. You're committing yourself and aligning yourself to a particular type of spirit or spirits, depending on the path, because some path workings allow you to work with more than one. Brujeria is one of them. Okay. Necromancy is another. It allows you to work with a wide range of spirits and entities. Now, dedication. Dedication is something that a lot of people lack, especially on social media. It's easy to hide behind a computer screen. And this is something that brings haters to your door. A lot of people are afraid, and this is emotion, it's fear, and it's also about desire. A lot of people fear the feedback that they're going to get for putting content out. A lot of times when they get negativity, they tend to take that step back and kind of shy away. They have second doubts, they have second thoughts, you know, the whole wide range of emotions they're going to go through. But if you look at Hermeetics for an example, the Kabbalah, and you look at the tree of life mirrors that of the tree of Da'ath, okay, the tree of death. Everything has a balance. Everything has a balance factor. When you get into Hermeetics and you get into emotions, you get into the elements, you start learning about these elements. For an example, I'm going to give you just a few here, just to get you started. Air. Everyone in Satanism knows that, or even witchcraft, Luciferianism knows that the East is associated with the air of enlightenment, Lucifer, okay, for just to name one entity. Now, what goes along with air, okay? Like I said, the Kabbalah, Hermeetics, think of yogic, meditations, working with chakras, working with the Kundalini, okay? This is stuff that is vital to life. Just like your blood is the essence of life and death, okay? So when we get into the air of enlightenment, the air of enlightenment can be anything from knowledge to wisdom to being able to breathe. Now, being able to breathe allows you to gain more oxygen to your blood. It's called oxygenation. And what this does is through certain yogic type exercises, it allows you to take in so much, oxygen that it opens up brain cells. It creates them. It brings them to make you feel more alive. Think of it if you have had an injury to your body. I've had knee injuries in the past, and I've had to do physical therapy. One of the things that we did during physical therapy was placing a weight on the floor or stepping up onto a small, like ladder or workout type stand, and then do calf raises. Okay, you do the bicycle, you know, things that work the hamstring and the calf muscle. Your knee feels awesome during this, and even for a time after this until it starts cooling down. Now, what's going on while you're doing this stuff? You're breathing, right? And then at the end, you're doing what is a whole bunch of different types of stretches. Okay. When we do this, oxygen is a healing factor, is something that grants you life. Kind of like fire. Fire is destructive, but it is also creative. Fire is associated with the South because it is something that a lot of people will shy away from. They don't have a clear understanding because they're emotional. They don't have that emotional understanding of what this emotion entails. It could be anything from hate, anger, rage. It could be love, passion, desire. Okay, means to create something. Okay, it's kind of like let's go with a brand new relationship. It's exciting, it's excitement, it's desire, right? It's something that you want. It's a fire that's burning inside you that to go ahead and do something. This is something that is associated with fire. It's the South. Water. Water is the West. It's associated with the West, and the West, and it's associated with sadness, sorrow, healing. Okay. Now, a lot of times when you deal with sadness, you're dealing with something such as everyday trauma, things that you're not dealing with, things that you push to the back of your mind and you forget, and next thing you know, you have a very explosive outburst. It could be most times at the most inappropriate times. Okay. Trust me, even I've been there. Okay. I've done it right at my new job a couple of times. And my boss has just looked at me and like, dude, what's going on with you? I don't think you really meant that. I don't think it was directed at me. Well, sometimes it was, but it was also the frustration of playing favoritism, you know, and that's what really pisses you off. But if you think about it, it is when you get into a depressive state, this is an emotion, it is a feeling, sadness. It's like, why are you favoring this person, allowing this person to break all the rules, and you're coming down on everybody else? You're singling me out over everyone else. It could be a number of different things. This creates a sense of depression. It creates a sense of sadness, and it kind of brings you down, right? Well, water is also something that is cleansing. Okay, you add sea salt into it for an example. Um, you put in paprika or brown sugar, brown ginger. Okay, brown ginger, sea salt, and paprika. Now, this is a cleansing bath that sucks out poisons from your muscles. It cleanses you and it cancels out all the bad mojo. Okay, so water is something that is also very good for healing, and a lot of people take one without the other and forget that there is a balance factor to all things. Earth, Earth is balance. It is all things dealing with death. Okay, not just life. There was an article uh, last week, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and it said that the Earth has given up all that it can manage for a year. Okay, and this is basically a fear factor. It is something to control the masses. Now, a lot of people think that the Earth is constantly producing fruits. of the labor, be it food, cattle, you name it. Okay, and water even. And this is stuff that has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years. So when you see an article like this, people get into a panic. They think, "Oh no, we're going to go hungry. There's going to be mass rioting. There's what if this happens? What if that happens?" But they don't stop to think about what this is doing from an emotional perspective. This is about harmony, okay? Earth is harmony. It is balance. For one to live, another has to die. Okay? That is just a sad fact of life and death. Okay? So from a necromancer's perspective, Earth is not just one of two dense elements. Water and earth are the two most dense um, elements out there. Okay, and that leaves air and fire rather as the deciding factors of adding and subtracting. Okay, so understanding the elements, understanding astrology, understanding planetary movements, understanding emotion in general and why you have them will benefit you in the long run. Think of it as stepping out of your shell and looking at yourself in a third person. The reflection should go in, not out. Okay? You must go in before you can look out. Just about every great philosopher out there has spoken these words. Even psychologists have said this. Spiritualists have said this. Victory is defined by most people as physical items. How much money you have, how much possessions you have, okay? How much, how many followers you have, okay? It's about being popular. It's about being the one with the most numbers. This is this is not what richness means. You cannot buy happiness. And that's a sad fact as well. So let's take a look at some things here. In 5 years, I've gone from a single man to a family man, son, better half. I've gone from an old junk car to having two 2016 Kia Sorrentos. Okay. And yes, we're paying back the bank, but it's there. Went from working in a fast food joint to working in the kitchen at a medical facility, gaining $200 more working at the same price per hour, the same amount of hours that I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. And on top of that, $2 more than what I was making at Tractor Supply before that. Okay. Now, what's interesting is last weekend, this past Saturday, the chef looked at me and told me point blank that I have the potential to be one of the greats. Okay. And he offered me personal tutelage underneath him as a chef in training. 2 months ago, I went in and took courses to further my ministry. Okay. I was thinking going into bishop, maybe becoming a bishop, because it's taken me 11, 12 years to go from an ordained um, deacon to an ordained priest. Okay. And then I wanted to further it My patrons have all said time to further it, so I took the tests. I skipped bishop and went straight for an archbishop. 12 years, hard work, dedicated, committed to the path, okay, of the arts. This is what's happened in 5 years, just 5 years. Yeah, we haven't moved into a bigger place yet, but they'll come in time. There's a time and place for everything. So I look at my Facebook Messenger. Yes, I found out that I had another section to my Facebook Messenger, which was the requests. Well, guess what? Tonight I learned that there was actually something else connected to that called the spam. So you're learning new things on a daily basis. This should be the objective, okay? Along your path, it is about education, it's about enlightenment, it's about becoming better. You got to remember that the path that you're following is yours and yours alone. You don't need to seek out anyone else. It's about you, your education, your evolution, your connection to the spirits. It's okay to seek out guidance and questions. And Behemoth X, how you doing, brother? It's been a while. And Draco Starseed's on here too. Awesome. Haven't seen you in a while. So, anyways, so the path is there. And when you become devoted to the spirits and you start dedicating yourself and becoming committed, it's amazing to see how they open the doors for you. It's not just that one way street, it's also the giving back process. Sometimes they won't do a thing until you've given something back to them. Other times they will have you do something for them. When I do rituals, I always ask one of two things. I always put a statement for. If you're willing to take me as an apprentice, I'm willing to do stuff for your favor. Okay? That means I'm willing to do all kinds of research, put the word out, you know, become an ambassador, stuff like that that is very, very good for the spirit that I'm working with. But other times I'll sit there and I'll say, if it's for me and mine, then I want it. And if it is not for me and mine, then I don't want it. Okay? It's giving the spirits the option to work with you. And it gives them plenty of room to work within your life. So the thing that brings forth victory or defeat is literally your own fate, your own destiny. You are in charge of that. So you have to contemplate. You have to figure out, okay, this is where I'm at today. This is where I was 5 years ago. Where do I want to be? Where do I see myself down the road? I was talking with a friend of mine at work because I had a meeting today on my day off. And it's always happens once a month. And I looked at him and I said, it's amazing what happens when you learn to play the game. He looked at me, and this is the head of the facility. Okay. And he looked at me, he's like, what do you mean by playing the game? And I said, think of it this way. If you do everything right. You do everything right. You play by the rules. You can either play it safe or you can take chances, you know, and at some point you're either going to hit that wall or you're going to find somebody that just treats you like shit. Okay. Think of it as getting paid a dime an hour. a dime an hour. Okay, that would piss you off, right? Welcome to the 1950s. 3 hours, that's 30 cents. But back then, that was like $100, basically. And I'm just saying that, putting that out there. Today, you can't go anywhere without money. You can't apply yourself the way you normally would. Not since the pandemic, of course. Since that, everything's gone to hell in a handbag. So you have to learn to get around everything because you got government agencies looking out for themselves. They're extorting their customers. And it's ironic because once you learn to play the game, the spirits help you focus instead of reacting out of fear, instead of reacting out of that necessity, that desire to become enraged, to strike back. You learn to step back in that third party perspective and you look at what's going on and it's like, hmm, okay, you're saying this, and then you're saying this. Let's go to the bank. Let's get the bank statements for these days that you claim this is going on. Well, guess what? You're lying right through your fucking teeth. Now I have all the evidence to literally twist your short hairs and curls, so to speak. I've got you over a barrel. Now you can go to places like, say, the Department of Justice or the American Civil Liberties Union. You can take them to court, and guess what? You can now open up a lawsuit against them for wrongful discrimination, for extortion, for whatever that outcome was that they're claiming. It could be anything from perjury, fraud, extortion, you name it. The list goes on. There's a lot of laws out there today. But if you learn to play that game, you're not dependent on the finances because everybody looks forward to for that check. An employer will look at you and say, "Why do you want this job? I want to better myself. I'm looking for something new." You go to places like employment agencies and say, you know, they'll tell you, "Well, guess what? You got to sell yourself. What can you do for that company?" And when you fill out an application, it's about you. What can you do for that company? You're basically selling yourself. So to an employer, you're only there for that paycheck, that better pay. Welcome to herd conformity. That's the world for you. You get on social media. So many people are aligning themselves with certain groups, trying to be a part of something. If somebody's hating on one person, you're going to see a whole flock of them. It's like a proverbial gangbang. Everybody wants to be a part of something. You see, this is the trap. But how many people would go to their employer and say, "Would you be willing to teach me? Would you be willing to instruct me and guide me in your ways? How did you become rich?" Well, if we're talking richness, what matters? The money? Or how do you define it? Because having a good family, that's richness. That's being rich. Being looked at and taken underneath your the tutelage of a spirit, that's richness. Having your boss look at you and say that you have the potential to be one of the greats, and I'd like to take you underneath my wing and train you personally, that's richness. That is things that money cannot buy. Having a friend that will watch your six, no matter who's talking trash about you, and stand up for you, that's richness. The almighty dollar, not so much. That comes and goes. Victory or defeat. Victory or defeat is defined by your actions and how you approach each and every single trial, tribulation. Spiritual devotion works in one of two ways. One, you're either petitioning them for something quick and materialistic, or you're petitioning to learn from them. And it's ironic because when you're working with them, they'll open up doors without you even asking. The chef that I work for looked at me and he says, "You don't want to be a dishwasher for the rest of your life." Because that's just a small portion of what I do. You see, when I applied to go to college in my 40s, okay, I didn't take into consideration that from a perspective of thanatology, or even psychology for that matter, I'm already doing that as a dietary aid. I'm prepping the food. I'm serving the residents. I'm studying death and dying. Even from a psychological perspective, I'm already doing the work of a thanatologist. The only thing going to school is to get the degree. To become a thanatologist, you've got to be certified and have a bachelor's degree in something else. I chose psychology. I already have experience in that area as a minister. Yes, it was from a Christian perspective, but it applies. Even as a minister for Wiccan and paganism, or even Satanism, it's still there. The way the human mind works, the way we view these trials, the way we deal with mortality, the way we approach our spiritualism, it's all there. It's all there from a psychological perspective. But more so, when we get into the actual study and practice of it, you're looking at necrology, sociology, anthropology, even archaeology plays into a huge part. You're dealing with hospice, you're dealing with CNA work, RA work, you're dealing with, what is that term that was used today during the meeting? It was a certain degree that you had to have to be a resident assistant. It was a certification. I can't remember what it is offhand. It was like a CPEE or something like that, or or PEE or something. I can't remember what it was. It was something along that line. I'll have to check into it on Saturday when I go back to work. Kind of been on vacation this week, so. But anyways, when it comes down to your success, personal education is something that's your responsibility. Enlightenment, knowledge is wisdom. and undefiled wisdom is true power. This was spoken of by Anton Xander LaVey in the Satan Bible. Okay. And what's ironic about this is you have no idea how true that is. Those within the social standards don't know how much of a slave they really are to the systems until you are awakened and you step back. My apprentice and I were talking about this earlier before I did this video, and he said, "You are right. I was struggling to breathe. I was at the end of my rope. It is a matter of life versus death. It doesn't matter if you're in the corporate world. It doesn't matter if you're in the medical field. It doesn't matter if you are a spiritualist working in a temple, or if you're just a solitary practitioner doing this for your own personal evolution. Education is key. It is something that we all go through. We evolve in our own way. You're going to have haters. You're going to have people try to tell you what to believe and what not to believe. Ignore them because it's your personal connection to the spirits. It is your own personal practices that define who you are. I look back at the last 5 years and my mind is blown. Just how fast in such a short time that my life turned around, that our lives turned around. It's amazing. We've had our trials, we've had our tribulations, but that devotion to the spirits and to the path, that is something that is key. Being completely dedicated, completely committed. And all you have to do is follow through and apply it to your life. That door goes back and forth. It goes back and forth, left and right, in and out, like a saloon door. It's not one way, but that's in your hands. And I want to kind of give you that information, and what you do with it is on you. What I always say is back up what you preach and always make yourself available to the public. All right. I want to thank Profima X, my brother, friend, for jumping on here with me. Loved your latest videos. Had a chance to catch up on it this week. Really enjoyed them. And to Draco Starseed, hope to see you on more videos. Feel free to jump on and ask questions. All right. With that said, I'm going to get off here and probably do a ritual and then hit the hay. All right. Have a good night. Until next time.